أعزائي طلاب الصف الأول الثانوي، أهلا بكم في الحلقة الثانية من تدريس الأحياء باللغة الإنجليزية. Before study the biological macromolecules, it's called carbohydrates. Biological macromolecules made of small molecules, carbohydrates, it consists of monomers, it's called glucose monosaccharide. As the same, we can explain lipids as the same definitions and extract the positions and the types of lipids and important. First one, lipids. Biological macromolecules made up of small molecules, it's called the monomers, between two brackets, fatty acid plus glycerols. I ask you about the questions in this point. In this structures, lipids, when we found the monomers. Monomers, it's called fatty acid plus glycerols. Okay? So finally, after eating and the absorptions, it's absorbed in the form of fatty acid plus glycerol into blood to let the body utilize. What's the meaning of utilize? Beneficials. What's the meaning of the beneficials? الاستفادة. يعني في الآخر إن الفاتي أسيد ديت والجليسرولز هي المين كومبوننت أو الوحدة الأساسية لبناء الدهون اللي بتخش في الدم بيستفيد منها جسم الإنسان. Not exceed the more than the certain limits is the damage. May be damage and the depositions in the blood causes the cholesterols. It make a heart attack. Okay. Lipids, biological macromolecules. It's called polymers made up of small molecules. It's called monomers, fatty acid plus glycerols. Lipids insoluble in polar solvents such as waters. For example, if you had a stain in your clothes, what the meaning of stains? بقعة موجودة في clothes, such as a grease or fats. You can remove it with waters? No, not at all. Why? Because the water is a polar compound, not removals of the lipids. Why? The lipid insoluble in waters. So needed the benzene or tetrachlorides. Okay? Benzene or the carbon tetrachlorides. Removal of this stains from your clothes. Okay? Okay. Fatty acid is the building unit plus glycerol. What's the meaning of glycerols? Glycerols, 3 hydroxyl groups, OH, 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 enter the structures of the fatty acids in the structure of lipids. Okay. Okay. Molecular structure of the lipids. Fatty acids, glycerols, alcohol contain 3 hydroxyl groups. Carbon's atoms is connecting in your side, right side, in the slides in front of you on your screens. You can see for illustration only. Please focus on this point. Fatty acids, carbon atoms is connecting hydrogen, oxygens, and second fatty acid, and third fatty acid is connecting with 3 hydroxyl groups. We can classify the lipids, okay, into according to the chemical reactions as a follow: simple lipids, complex lipids, derivatives. What's the meaning of simple lipids? Essentials in its structures, 2 main components, fatty acid plus glycerols. What's the meaning of fatty acid? Fatty acid, chemical formulas, it consists of the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen atoms. 2 types of fatty acid, saturated and unsaturated. What's the meaning of saturated and unsaturated? Inshallah, in a third years, in the second stage, في سنة ثالثة بإذن الله هتعرف في الأورجانكس في الكيمستري what's the difference between saturated and unsaturated. Saturated, covalent bond, single covalent bond, it's mean single covalent bond, saturated. Double or triple covalent bond, unsaturated. Okay. Simple lipids divided into oils, fats, and wax. Complex lipids, such as phospholipids, enter the structure of cell membranes in the cells, both of animal cells and plant cells. Derivatives. What's mean that the derivatives? Derivatives that mean that مشتقات. يعني ايه مشتقات؟ يعني جايه من حاجتين اتنين، اكتر من حاجه. عشان كده الديريفاتيفز بنقول come from hydrolysis both of simple and complex lipids. Examples for the lipid derivatives, cholesterols and some hormones enter the structures of the hormones in the cells. Okay. Okay. Simple lipids. They are formed by reactions of fatty acid with alcohol. Simple lipids, it occurs reactions between fatty acid and alcohol. Fatty acid plus glycerol, alcohol, 3 fatty acid forming the simple lipids. Say simple lipids as oils, fats, wax. The differentiations between the simple lipids types, for example, first one, oils, fats, differentiate between them, a type of amino acid enters the structure of each of them. Say oils, unsaturated fatty acids, double covalent bond between carbon atoms. Fats, saturated fatty acid, so it's solid, found in the solid state, solidifications. That mean that any oils, it consists of on the unsaturated fatty acid. Solidifications such as fats or butters, it's saturated fatty acid. Wax is difference between both of oils and fats. Okay. Okay. They are divided according to saturation degree of fatty acids, the type of alcohol, glycerols or 1-hydroxyls. 3 hydroxyls, it's called the glycerols. 1 hydroxyls, it's called monohydroxyl alcohol, ethyl alcohol. Examples. Okay. As shown in the following tables, please focus in the show in the following tables. Oils, fats, wax. Oils is found in the liquid state. Okay, it's formed from unsaturated fatty acid plus glycerol. What's the meaning of glycerols? We can say previously 3 hydroxyl groups, OH plus OH plus OH. Positions, it's found in the feathers of the aquatic birds. The point of connections, aquatic birds, in the body of the aquatic birds, the feathers, the oils, it's found to prevent penetrate the waters when the aquatic birds swimming in the lake. اوكي يعني معنى كده الاكواتيك بيردس اللي هي الطيور اللي بتعيش في الميه، اللي بتسبح في الميه، فيها فيذرز، ريش. الريش ده في بوينت اوف كونكشن وذ بادي. البوينت اوف كونكشن وذ بادي تحتوي على large amount of oils. Why large amount of oils? Prevent penetrate in water to the body of the aquatic birds. Why? Aquatic birds, if the water is penetrated, it sink. يعني الميه لو اتخللت للجسم بتاعها يحصل لها sinking، تغرق. شوف ايات ربنا عز وجل وحكمته ان موجود في الفيزرز ده كميه كبيره جدا من الاويلز. الاويلز ده بيعمل prevent penetrate للوترز so it can make its function easily without any troubles. Okay. Number 2, way of formations of fats. We can differentiations between oils and the fats. Type of amino acid enters the structure, type of fatty acid enters the structure of each of them. Fats structures enter the fats is unsaturated or saturated. Saturated. Why? It's solid. Saturated fatty acid plus glycerols. It's found in the polar bears. الدب القطبي. Why? Polar bears live in the severe cold regions. What the meaning of severe cold regions? بيئة قاسية جدا، درجة حرارة منخفضة. So it need energy. Energy, it removal from the fats. It's sufficient to help him warming and appropriate and adapted for environmentals. يعيش ويتكيف في البيئة. This point, please pay attention to this point. The amount of energy it releasing from fats higher than the amount of energy that releasing from the carbohydrates. But the carbohydrates energy releasing from easily, rapidly, fast way، بسرعة بتخرج من الكربوهيدرات بسرعة، بس كمية الانرجي طالعة من الكربوهيدرات قليلة compared with the amount of energy that releasing from the fats. So some people's exposure to the diet or a balanced maybe physical exercise, vigorous effort، بيعمل مجهود زايد to building or exercising the fats take a long period of times، لأن الدهون بتاخد وقت كبير جدا عشان تتحرق. But its amount of energy released from it higher than that's releasing from the carbohydrates. Okay? So needing the glucose enters the structure of the cells rapidly, fast way oxidations to producing a large amount of energy storage in the form of ATP. Say before that, ATP is considered standard universal currency of energy inside the cells. العملة الأساسية للطاقة جوه الخلية اللي بتوزع على جميع أجزاء الجسم to survive and keep survive for life. Okay. Example of fats stored under the skins in the polar bear or panda bears, that's helping him to adapt it for the low temperatures that's found in the polar regions. Third type of samples, wax. Do you know that? The difference between oils and the fat? The type of fatty acid enters the structure of both of them. Oils, unsaturated fatty acid. Fats, saturated fatty acid. But wax, solid structures enter the wax, okay? Fatty acid, solid substance, normals, formed by reactions of higher molecular weight of fatty acid with the monohydroxyl alcohol. Higher molecular weights, saturated. الوزن الجزيئي بتاعه عالي جدا. بلس مين؟ حاجة اسمها اللي هو الايه؟ ال1 hydroxyl. No glycerols. Glycerol 3 hydroxyl. There's a difference between 1 hydroxyls and 3 hydroxyls. Glycerols, it consists of 3 hydroxyl groups. Function group is hydroxyls, OH. But 1 hydroxyls in ethanols or ethyl alcohol. Wax, it's covering the cutin layers, epidermis layers. It consists of cutins. Cutins covering the epidermis layers that's found in the plant cells, especially some types of the plants that live in the desert. So its exposures, the high temperatures continuously. So the Allah is preserve it from losing the amount of energy by covering the epidermis cell to the cutins. This is play an important role. Keep survives and preserve the waters inside it because the cutins in wax, formed from wax, preserve and prevent losing the amount of waters in the cells. Okay, we can explaining another type of the fats. May a point, we can know the differentiations between oil, fats, and wax, type of amino acids, number of hydroxyl groups, and hydroxyls or monohydroxyls group. Next steps or next type. Okay, follow me please. Pay attention. Okay. Saturated fatty acid contains single covalent bond. You say it before. Only among the carbon atoms in the acid molecules, while unsaturated fatty acid contains a single and double bonds among the carbons. Okay? Okay. Okay. Examples: phospholipids. Carbons atoms, hydrogen atom, and oxygen atoms are involved in their structure in additionals of the phosphorus P nitrogen nitrogens. Now we are explaining with us another type of the fats. It's called complex lipids. It's called phospholipids. Okay. Essential element enters the structures of lipids: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. In this lipids type of lipids, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus. Why nitrogen and phosphorus? We can see with us and explaining it carefully after a few seconds from now. Follow me please and pay attention to reaching the destinations to explaining the complex lipids. It's called phospholipids. Carbons, hydrogen, and oxygens are involved with their structure in additional phosphorus and nitrogens. You know that before. Each fats, it consists of 3 fatty acid plus glycerols. 3 fatty acid plus glycerols. In this type of lipids, it's called phospholipids, replacing a third fatty acid with the choline and phosphorus. What's the meaning of choline groups and phosphor groups? Choline group, it's contain a large amount of nitrogen. Phosphorus, its essential structures enter the structure of phospholipids. Okay? So the main component of the phospholipids, 2 fatty acid only, not third. Why? Replacing the third fatty acid with replacing the third fatty acid with choline groups. So the nitrogen come from choline group. Phosphorus come from phosphate groups. Those are formations of the phosphors, phospholipids, carbon, hydrogen, oxygens, nitrogen, phosphorus. Okay? The molecular structure is similar to the structure of the molecules with the replacing third fatty acid is fats by phosphate group and the choline groups. Choline group essentials and rich with nitrogen element enters the structure of phospholipids. Okay? So the number of fatty acid enters the structures of phosphate group to only. Why? Replacing the third with the choline and phosphate group. Phospholipids enter the structure essential cell membrane and the plasma membrane or cell membrane at the same plasma membrane. يعني هو السيل ممبرين هو نفس المعنى اللي هو الغشاء البلازمي للخليه، اللي هو مين؟ اللي هو السكند في البلانت سيلز والفيرست في الانيمال سيلز. اوكي. رائع. جميل. اوكي. For illustrations, molecular structure of phospholipids. Phospholipids enter the structure of cell membranes. هنا واضح قدامي جدا حاجه اسمها هيد وتيلز. هيد وتيلز. هيد اند تيلز. Phospholipid consists of hydrophilic head وhydrophobic tail. What's the meaning of hydrophilic؟ يعني حابب للميه، بولارز يروح يمة الميه الهيد. hydrophobic. What's the meaning of phobic؟ خايف، فايت، مرعوب، يعني كده كاره للميه، يبعد الميه. يبقى الهيد تمام acquired للووترز، التيلز كاره للووترز، بيعمل حاجه اسمها ايه؟ ريشنز، يعني بيبعد الميه عن الايه؟ الجسم. ده الاستراكشر بتاعت الفوسفوليبيدز. ده المين كومبوننت انتر ذا ستراكشرز اوف ذا سيلز. اوكي؟ انتر ذا ستراكشر اوف سيل ميمبرينز. Phospholipids main component enter the structures by layers. What's the meaning of by layers? Upper layer and lower layer. Upper layer head and lower layer head. In the opposite from its sides, tails face to each other. Why? To waters, to get away from the waters from outside in endocytosis, exocytosis outside. Okay? Okay. Molecular structure of the phospholipids can explain it. Next steps in this lessons, lipids, explaining it. Lipids derivatives. What's the meaning of the derivatives? Derivatives, it's play an important role in our live body. Okay? Steroids and cholesterol. Lipid and cholesterol. Lipids, derivative lipids, it contains two types, cholesterol and steroids. Okay. Derivatives is formed from anything it's formed from. يعني الديريفاتيفز دي جايه من حاجتين اتنين، ايه هما بقى؟ derivatives يعني مشتقه، مشتقه من مين؟ من السمبل ليبيدز والكومبلكس ليبيدز. Why it's destroyed? It's extracted from all others to give finally say eat meat, eat any meals such as oils, fragile oil, chicken. كلت انا فراخ مقليه مثلا دي عباره عن oils plus any fats found in your body meals. Okay? Both of two meals that contain the oils and another type of fats make a hydrolysis forming the cholesterol. Cholesterol, it's deposited inside the artery, make a troubles such as heart attack. So take immune considerations. No take amount of oils and fragiles may cause carcinogenics, may cause any deposition of the cholesterols to avoid it the flavor additive and fragiles and subtypes of fats اللي بنقول عليها اسمها الايه؟ الفاست فود. الفاست فود ده خطير جدا لانه ليه مشاكل كتير جدا، بنقولها بالعربي اهوت، انه عباره عن بيحصل هيدروليسيس للفاتس اللي موجوده فيه بلس الاويلز اللي موجود فيه ويديني كوليسترول. الكوليسترول بيحصل له ديبوزيشن في الارتري بيعمل مشكله بلوكت. طبعا ما نقدرش نقول بلوكت، علميا خطا، مش بلوكت. بيعمل حاجه اسمها ايه؟ اللي هي ايه؟ اوبستراكت. اوبستراكت يعني ضيق خفيف جدا في الارتري، بيعمل اوبستراكت للايه؟ البلاد موفينج، ممكن يعمل هاي بلاد بريشرز، ممكن يعمل هارت اتاك. دي كلها من ضمن الديسفانكشن او ديس ادفانتج بتاعت مين؟ اللي هي الايه؟ الكوليسترول. الديريفاتيفز comes through two both of simple and complex by hydrolysis to get two types. Hormones enter the structure of the hormones, it's called steroid. So you know that steroid, this point it not recorded in this your curriculum this year, but inshallah in third years in secondary stage we explaining it carefully. But you must be know it, please. لازم تعرفها. اللي هو مين؟ كلمة steroid enters the structure of type of hormones. For example, of hormones, 6 hormones. Males, it contains estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and androgen. Males, producing from the testes. And females, producing from the ovary, estrogen and progesterone. Both of them are steroid hormones. And another type of hormones, it's consists of amino acids, that mean that proteins. Okay, that's right. Lipids derivatives, they are derived from both of the simple and the complex lipids by hydrolysis, a reaction that occurs by adding water from there. For examples, number 1, the origin of this word, steroids and English terms, that means that's the cyclic organic compound containing following, for examples, cortisone, corticosterones, sex hormone, testosterone, estrogen. لو جينا على الاسترويد برضه نعرف حاجات في الاسترويد علينا برضه زياده، معلش هنقولها كنولج او for illustrations. عندي types of the steroids hormones، حاجه اسمها الادرينال جلاند secreting hormones. الادرينال جلاند دي في منطقه اسمها منطقه الكورتكس secreting hormones. الكورتكس ديت تفرز specific type of hormones, all hormones secreting from the adrenal gland cortex. It is steroids such as cortisone, corticosterone, aldosterone, and beside sex hormone, estrogen, progesterone in females, and testosterone and androgen in males. Okay? Okay. Okay? Obtaining energy. Okay? Fats producing a large amount of energy comparison with that producing from the carbohydrates. Why using the carbohydrates in oxidations inside the cells? Because the carbohydrates producing a large amount of energy in a rapid way, faster than that's producing comparison with the fats. يعني كمية الانرجي طالعة من الجلوكوز سريعة جدا fast. Comparison with that's producing from the fats. Why? So the glucose enters the oxidation inside the cell to producing a large amount of energy storage in form of ATP. Okay, but the fats, it is the amount of energy it producing a large amount comparison with that producing from the carbohydrates, but slowly, not rapid, slowly. Okay, the body does not start using the fats as a source of energy. تمام? Unless the absence of the carbohydrates for the following reason. Okay, example بسيط. Say man's exposure to the obesity. What the meaning of the obesity? تخين بدين. هنقول له stop the eating of carbohydrates. Stop completely? No, partially. جزئيا. مفيش حد يقدر stop completely عن الكربوهيدرات. Partially. Why? Decreasing a little amount of the carbohydrates that intake every day. Say amount of rice, amount of bread. Slow. Why? To consume the large amount of fats that's storage under the skin, make opacity to a change into the transformation of energy. So we can obtain the healthy, okay, body by get rid of the fats. Okay, this means that the body doesn't start using the fats as a source of energy unless the absence of carbohydrates for the following reasons. Fats needing a long time. This is very important point, long time to get rid of them and transferring on the muscle by using energy, needing energy. But the carbohydrates fastly, rapid way, transforming fats stored in the body into energy, needing the large amount of oxygen. Okay. The best arrangement of 4 molecules according to the rapid obtaining energy from this. This questions determines you understand or no by retaining again a critical thinking. Think, pair, share. Any questions, the exposure to you from point, choose A, B, C, or D, take your times to reaching the main solving without any troubles. with us. Try to make think, pair, share. Start with myself, Mr. Hatem. Number A, the headline of questions, the best arrangement of the molecules according to the rapid obtaining of energy from them is glycogen, saccharose, fats, glucose. No. Why? The best arrangement for the molecule according to the rapid. According to rapids, all type of carbohydrate is essential in the one. يبقى ترتيب الكربوهيدرات هي الأول وتيجي الفاتس بعدها. كربوهيدرات مونوساكرايد، دايساكرايد، بوليساكرايد، يجي بعدهم مين؟ الفاتس. Take in your consideration، خد في اعتبارك المين بوينت دي مهمة جدا. ازاي مهمة؟ أنا بتكلم عن الرابد. What's the meaning of rapid؟ fast way، بسرعة. يبقى لازم علاقة بالكربوهيدرات. يبقى الكربوهيدرات تيجي مين؟ نمبر 1 اللي هي مين؟ مونوساكرايد فاسترز، دايساكرايد less fasters، polysaccharide less, and finally at the end it's fats. Okay. Glycogen, polysaccharide, saccharose, disaccharide, fats, glucose in the at the end? No, wrong. Number B, fats, saccharose, glucose, glycogen. Fats? No, starting with fats. C, glucose, saccharose, fats, glycogen, wrong. D, glucose, monosaccharide, saccharose, disaccharide, glycogen, polysaccharide, fats. The best answer is D. Okay? Any questions? Take your times and focus. In D choice is the best right. Why? Think, pair, share with yourself in your homes or standing on me and asking again yourself, why, misters? Take these answers. Glucose, saccharose, glycogens. Glucose, monosaccharides. Rapid energy. Okay, oxide inside the cells. Saccharose, disaccharide. 3, glycogen, polysaccharides, and the fats at the end. It is the it's type of fats obtaining energy with slowers. Okay? Use materials and tools to detect the presence of the fats. Any molecules we can detect the presence in the blood by the reagent. What the meaning of reagent؟ كاشف أو indicator يبين لي هي موجودة في البلد بالنورمال ريت ولا لا. Please, dear student, focus with me in this point. Anything in the body, take in your limit amount. Any increase or decrease more than the certain limit causes the disorders. What the meaning of disorders؟ أي زيادة أو نقص في أي مواد في جسم الإنسان زيادة عن حد الطبيعي more than the certain limit تعمل disorder يعني خلل وظائفي. say كوليسترول لو زاد عن الحد الطبيعي already inside the cells more than the certain limit deposited inside the artery يترسب جوه الشريان ويعمل لي هارت اتاك وكارثه في نقل المين transporting المين للبلاد from a body parts. say the amount of glucose increase more than the certain limits. diabetes mellitus مرض البول السكري وبنكشف عنها بحاجه اسمها الباندكتري ايجنت. اوكي. say الفاتس say البروتينز لو زاد عن حد الطبيعي هيبقى يوريك اسيد deposition. every substance its increase or decrease may be disorder, so we must be advisable. Our dear student طلابي الأعزاء I advisable you أنا بنصحكم eat a balanced diet and get away from fast food. Fast food is very dangerous, make obesity and depositions large amounts of cholesterol in the blood may from the previously many troubles in heart in your health. Okay. Uses the material and the tools to detect the presence of the fats in the blood. Okay. procedures. Okay. Bring us. Okay. Test tubes. First 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Every test tube from this. First one, say adding a type of fats, and another tubes, glucose, beans, proteins, and other types, and adding sodium forestane. This is called reagent. What's the meaning of the sodium forestane? This reagent indicates the presence of the fats in the blood. Why it's using the sodium forestane? Sodium phosphates, this type of reagent, react with the fats. It changes into red colors. When it's changing, it's red. That means that detections the presence of the fats in our blood. Okay? This video, okay, using to detect the presence of the sodium phosphate reagent. Okay? Okay. Sodium phosphate reagent, when adding to the fats, it's changing its colors into red colors. That means that the fats is found in our body. Okay? At the end, we can ending from expression the fats types, and we can detect importance of the fat obtaining energy enter the structures of the cells, such for example phospholipids enter the structures of the cell membranes, and the other type of cholesterol enter the structure of the cells, and obtaining energy and releasing amount of the 5% in our body. Thanks for you. Greetings from me, Mr. Hatem, to you, dear student. I wish I could see you again in good health. Thank you and see you later. Goodbye. Thanks for you a lot. Thanks for you a lot.